unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus. And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
Right, you see that? So now they made sure they made it a law that there's no way that you're going to sit up here and talk to the king that way or refuse when he called for you. So they didn't want this thing to spread out, amongst the empire, right? Remember, they're looking at the whole empire. See, a lot of times we don't look at things on the whole broad, like the whole nation. What you do, just because you in your house with your wife, that don't mean that other people don't know what's going on, right? We all gonna fall short of that. We all gonna have these battles, but at the end of the day, we gotta reign supreme, man. As men, we are men of the Most High, con. And this is talking about another nation. Persian Medes, they know what time it is, right? They know what time it is. They're not having that. So they said, if they did the right thing, right? He said, and when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. So it didn't matter whether you was broke, or you was great, or you had, good substance. You had a lot of things going for you. It didn't matter, right? That's why they set this decree that this law must be kept. All right, we're going to read on. We're going into the second chapter. Read.
The book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women unto the custody of Hege, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish of Benjamin, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. And the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the woman. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her. And 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her, out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids, unto the best palace of the house of the woman. Esther had not showed her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her, that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the woman's house, to know how Esther did, and what should become of her.
Right, so at this point, Esther has now got into the king's palace, and she's going through the purification, right, just like the other maidens there. So all of them there were they're not, they all were virgins, let's say, right? So Mordecai at this point told her, keep things down. I guess he didn't want, them to know that she was a Jew at this point, right? Just to keep things on the low. Maybe she tucked her fringes. I don't know. These are the things people do today, some of our people. So we're going to move a little bit further, but this story takes a little while to go through. We're going to jump over to the 3rd chapter, okay? So Mordecai, who is he to Esther? Who's that? Uncle, right? Uncle. You heard me say he was a Benjamite, right? All right. No, there's a lot of Benjamites in the room. Go ahead, I'll read.
The book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Amminadab the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
Right, hold on. So, you see, Mordecai, the Benjamite ain't bowing down to nobody. You already know what time it is with that. So, but we know in our custom as Hebrews and as Jews, we know that we only supposed to bow down to who? Right, the old power, right? The power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Mordecai is like, nah, man, I'm not doing that. This guy is just king. But the only king I serve is who? Yahweh. All right, read on.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman, to see whether Mordecai his matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone. For they had shewed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus.
Right, so he saw that Mordecai wasn't going to bow down, right, to the king's commandment at this point. So, because we know as Hebrews, we don't do that. But now, Haman got a spirit on him now. He want to put him to death. Right, he want to lay hands on him, as he said. Right, not the hands of the Presbyterian, right? He want to lay hands on our brother Mordecai. But as you see, and you're going to see as you read on the story when you get a chance, when you serve the Most High is setting that protection around you, right, at all times, okay? Read on on.
Even the people of Mordecai, verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman, from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Right. So currently, as you see, the month Adar, that's the month that we are in currently right now today. Right? We're in the 12th month. That's why we're keeping this here celebration of Purim, all right? To commemorate our forefathers who went through this atrocity during the time of the Persian Medes, okay? Read on.
Esther chapter 3 verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad, and dispersed among the people, and in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries.
I mean, all of that because he didn't bow down. This guy want to take out the whole nation because one man didn't bow down. You see how powerful it is when one person does something? Like this guy on the, real quick, what's that football player? I forgot his name. Right. The one that took the knee during the national anthem. One person, he did that, and what happened? It started a whole snowball effect, right? This is something that is in history. All it takes is one. What we're not doing, what we're not going to accept, right? We got to stay strong and stay faithful in the Most High. Con? All right, read on.
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Ammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of the king Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day, and the 12th day, and the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take spoil of them for a prey.
So you see here it says that they put a decree out that they was going to destroy the nation, right? Just because that one Benjamin didn't want to bow down. Now, I know a Benjamin told me a while ago, if Benjamin was the head tribe, we'd be out of here. That's right. I don't know, but the Benjamites are standing up at this point right here, right? And you notice it says that what? Both, they're going to destroy both young and old, little children and the women. These people don't discriminate. Right? These are the Persian Medes, the so-called East Indian. Right? Even Esau, the so-called white man, he doesn't discriminate either. When he started that transatlantic slave trade, it was old, young, and children. They didn't discriminate with nothing. Right? So at this point, we are in what month? It says we are in the 12th month, which is the month Adar, the 13th day in the 12th month. All right, read on. Let's finish up this chapter.
Verse 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Chapter 4. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes, and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
Okay. So what did he do there? What happened here? Somebody help me out. So Mordecai perceived all that was done. So he heard everything that was going down. Right? He rent his clothes, put sackcloth, put ashes on himself. In the midst of the city, he cried out. Who he cried out to? Santa Claus? What's going on? Help me out. Better than I.
To the Most High.
Right. So he cried out to the Most High. What else he did? What's going on here? It was morning. Okay. What's going on here? Somebody help me out. Somebody finish it. Bring it full circle. Huh?
He put himself in a lower state.
Put himself in a lower state. He on the chopping block right now. They're about to take out the nation. All right. So at this point, you know, he's crying out, like you said. He's lamenting. He's crying to the Most High in deep prayer for the Most High to watch over them, protect them. Right? This is sackcloth. He was like in repentance, asking the Most High to forgive him, watch over him, and keep them safe. Because he knew what was going down. Right? It was about to be put to death. Everyone. Little children and all. Right? Because at one point, this is what we used to do. We used to put ashes on our face, rent our clothes. Remember Benjamin made that song? He's talking about the Benjamites, but it said, rend your heart, not your garment. Right? So, you know, he's crying out to the Most High to hear his cry and his prayer. Because this is what we did when we were in Egypt. We cried to the Most High. And the Most High heard us, and he sent what? A deliverer to get us out of Egypt. Con? All right. Let's see a little bit more. Read on down to the 4th verse.
Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away the sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
So, you know, when Israel found out, what the first thing they did? They started praying to the Most High, man. They start fasting, right? So why do we fast? What's the purpose of us fasting? Afflicting your soul, right? To get us closer to the Most High, right? So we see that the decree was coming. It was trying to put us to death. So what do? We fast. We pray to the Most High. You know, sackcloth, we rent our garments, we ripped everything, we cried out, please, Most High, don't let this go down. So, you know, because of the process of time, we're going to skip on, we're going to move on to the 7th chapter. But when you get a chance, you know, you could definitely read this story. This is a very good story, a true story, right? And it proves and shows you that fasting and prayer does work. Right? Fasting and prayer does work. Right? Read on. Let's pick it up with 7. Okay.
The book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther, on the 2nd day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther?
Right. So at this point, because Esther found out what was going on, so she did a petition, asked Haman to come to the king's palace, right, and have a dinner, a banquet, wine, you know, drink, and see if she could get him to, you know, reverse this here decree put out, right? Read on.
Read it again. What is thy petition, Queen Esther, and it shall be granted thee? And what is thy request, and it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom? Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please thee, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
So you see, she started to get favor in the king's eye at this point, right? And he told her, I'll give you all the way to the half of the kingdom. Right? He really looked at Esther, and she's beautiful, and so she was humble. So he's trying to figure out what's going on. What do you mean destroy your people? What's going on? Read on up.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman.
So she called it straight out. She said, that Haman is wicked. He's an adversary, right? So, he must be looking like, what? Haman is supposed to be his right-hand man. Why is he the adversary? Let's find out. Read on.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther, the queen. For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Right. So you see, what does this story remind you of? Because this happened before. This scenario happened before. If anyone remember. Do you remember when Pharaoh kept coming against Moses? Right? And Moses told him what? That last time you say something, this one is going to be on you. And what did he do? He said he's going to put Israel to death, firstborn. And what happened? What happened in Egypt? We had the Passover, right? That last one that Pharaoh said he's going to put all firstborn male to death. The Most High afflicted on them. So these nations, man, they got their plans. Persia Medes got their plans. Esau got his plans. He got his COVID-19. He's got his 25 coming out. His 35, right? I don't know what else they got going on. But this thing is going to turn back on them, right? You're going to see Edomites dropping all over the place. You're like, damn. And we're going to be running around drinking wine, laughing, right? Because you go against the Most High's people, this thing's going to flip on you. Right? We got to stay faithful in the Most High. Con? We got to fast and pray. Con? So the Most High can keep these things away from us. Read on now. We're going into chapter 8. So they hung Haman. Now Haman built those gallows for who? He built it for Mordecai. Most High flipped the script on him. Now he the one hanging them from there, right? Read on. Let me see. You can jump to verse. You can jump to chapter 9. Start out. Read the first chapter in 8. First two verses in 8, and jump to 9. Yeah, two verses. Yeah.
Esther chapter 8, verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
So now check that out. Haman got fired. Right? He didn't get no pink slip. He got fired. That's it. He's out of a job and his life. He done. Right? And guess who got his place? Mordecai. He gave him the ring, gave him his place. You know, can you imagine that? Haman sitting up there in a 10-bedroom house, mansion with 10 bathrooms. All of a sudden, he hanging from the gallows. Then you, Benjamin, might walk up in there and be like, oh, this is a nice place. I change that picture, move some of this stuff around. We got to clean the house. All right? Yeah, man. When you serve the Most High, man, that's what it is. That's what we got to remember. We have, things that we can look back on that our patriarchs went through. Give me one precept. All right? Give me Romans 15, verse 4. Just one. All right? Let me get one.
The book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4.
Right.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
All right. So, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, right? These things were written for aforetime for our learning. So as we see, we are learning how that fasting, prayer, crying out to the Most High, keeping His commandments, being righteous is something that is going to get us by in this kingdom. Remember, these guys, who was ruling this at this time? Right, the Persians and me. So what condition we were in? Captivity. Right? And we did the righteous thing. We cried to the Most High. Right? Mordecai stood tall. He didn't bow down to this king. Read on. Read on right here in Esther. No, read on in Esther. Go back. Verse 3. Read verse 3 and 4.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 3.
8.
Okay. 8 and verse 3.
Right.
And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears, to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letter devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come upon my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with a king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at that time, in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the rulers of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, in 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus, in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries.
So they see that they went and reversed this thing. The king went and reversed it. He took his ring out. He sealed it. He wrote letters. What does it mean when he put his ring? What does that mean? What does it mean when he put his ring? He pulled his ring out and put it on the letter. What does that mean? Yeah, he stamped it like how we have the notary. How the notary stamp it and they approve, what was written on there. It's the same thing. It's like a signet, like you said. Somebody said something about a signet. Right. At that time, they used to use the ring and they put their mark on the letter. So he reversed everything, right? And gave the Jews everything that they needed, right? Read on. And the dromedaries. Everybody know what that is? Dromedaries. So I looked it up. I think it's a one-hump camel, some sort of camel. I don't know if it's female, but it's like, I guess it's a small, not like the other ones have more than one hump or they're huge, or this one only has one. All right? Read on.
Verse 11. Wherein the king granted the Jews, which were in every city, to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey, upon one day, in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with the great crown of gold, and with the garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
So you see now Mordecai, he got on his royal garments, guy riding on high horses, guy got a purple on, he got all the royal colors. Everybody see the royal colors that come out of here? Right? It says the king, the royal apparel, blue, right? White, purple, and he had linen on. Check that out. I bet you had them fringes on. I know that. Right? Because it was Benjamin, he wasn't playing around. So, it was all gladness and feast in this 12th month. Is this the month we in? God, right? And what day of the 12th month? We're in the 14th day. All right, 13th or 13th day. Which one? 13th or 14th? Somebody help me out. 13th, right. Right? 13th day of the 12th month. The month is called what? Adar, right? Read on.
Chapter 9, verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is in the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them. For the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter, and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
Right. So you see, those people that gathered themselves together, who was planning to get down with Haman to take us out, right? Once Mordecai got in there and got to be the ruler and wearing the linen and royal colors, he switched that thing around. He said, all right, now we're going to go get them now. Right? So you see that thing turn back right on your own head. So remember, when you come after the men of the Most High, you're not coming after the men, you're coming after the Most High. Right? So not all the time when somebody come after you, you got to retaliate. Right? You got to leave it in the hands of the Most High. Not all the time somebody come at you, you just got to respond and rate it 0 to 100 and take their head off. When you rolling with the Most High, nothing can touch you. Con? That's it. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper. Right, read on.
Verse 6. And in Shushan the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men.
Oh, wait a minute. They slew what? 500 men. That's a lot of slaying, man. That's a lot of blood, guy. All right? That's a river full of blood. 500 men, that's a lot of blood, man. How many people died in that World Trade Center? A lot. Right? How many people died from the coronavirus? That's a lot, yeah. Read on.
Verse 7. And Parshandatha, and Dalphon, and Aspath, and Porthar, and Adalia, and Aridatha, and Parmashta, and Arisai, and Ardai, and Vaisetha, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the empire of the Jews, the enemy of the Jews slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman, what have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please thee, the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons.
Man, that's terrible, man. He done got himself jammed up, and his whole family. They done hung 10 of his sons. Right? Even if you look at that, when you go back into history again, these are the things that they have done to our people also. When they've done something to one person, they take out the whole family. Right? But you see, when you serve the Most High is taking care of everything. Right? Them Jews, they weren't fighting. We wasn't fighting nobody at that time. We fasted and prayed. And we got through. We got the victory. Con? All right, read on.
Verse 15. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hands. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey.
How many is that? They said they slew their foes 75,000. How much is that? Somebody help me out. 75,000. First it started out with 500, right? Then it started out with his sons 10. Then they took out like 75,000. Man, that's more than the World Trade Center. The coronavirus took out more people than that, though. 75,000. I'm talking about this is bare hand-on-hand combat right now. This is not like, some disease took them out. These guys drew swords and was taking them out. Right? This is a blood sacrifice at this point. They had to go. Right? Read on.
Verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rest day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Right, Khan. And this is why we're here today. I get the Most High hand. Hallelujah. Right. Because we're commemorating what our forefathers did during the time of the Persian meats, right? So on the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 15th day of that same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. And this is why we're here. I don't know if y'all can look behind you. We got a feast going on here, man. I think we got enough food for today, tomorrow, and the rest of the week, right? Nobody should have to go by McDonald's, Burger King, or do any of those things. You should be eating that stuff anyway, right? But you shouldn't have to go. You go home and say, listen, honey, don't cook anything, because we got enough food here. Con? All right. Did y'all really look? Because there's food there. I'm seeing food as far as the eye can see, all the way into the kitchen. So, we're gonna feast tonight. Con? All right. And we got the blends in the freezer on ice. Con? All right. We're gonna feast. We're gonna drink. We're gonna be in mirth. What is mirth? Hebrew word mirth. Laughter. We're going to laugh. We're going to smile. We're going to be happy. Right? Con? We're not going to fake it. You know how you be in the office? Hi, John. No. We're not faking anything. It's time to let your hair down. We're going to hang out. Con? All right, we're going to finish up this story. Read on up.
Verse 18. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things, and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
Right. So, we celebrating this day today, the 13th day and the 14th day, right? And they said they did what? They were feasting. We ate, rejoiced, and portions to one another, and gifts. I know some of you have gifts for each other. Con? All right. Hope y'all got my size. All right. I put it out there many weeks now. So nobody better not get it wrong. All right. So, we are going to exchange gifts, and we're going to feast. We're going to be in joy, send portions to one another. This is a time for also games. If anybody got any games they want to bring out, we bring out some games and have a good time with each other. Con? All right, we're going to read on.
Verse 19. No, I passed that. 23.
Right.
And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast Pur, that is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device which he devised against the Jews should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they call these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time, every year. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
Right. So you see it says, and that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, right? This thing is not supposed to stop. The scriptures say we must rehearse the righteous acts, right? This is a righteous act that we're doing, right? We're getting prepared for the kingdom. In the kingdom, we're going to be doing this. We're going to have Purim. We're going to have the Feast of Tabernacle. We're going to be doing all these things, all the holy days, right? Because we are performing what is happening in heaven today. According to Matthew 6 and 9, right? The righteousness is going to be here. Kingdom of heaven is going to be here on this earth. The kingdom of heaven is a condition of living. All right, I want you to understand that. It's a condition of living. When we're in rulership, we're going to be in heaven. No more working. No more by our captain. My captain got to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning and drive 100 miles to go to work, be standing on somebody's ladder and telling them, no, sir, and yes, I'll do it. No. No more. Them days are over. Right? We're going to be in the kingdom. We're going to love it, and they're going to work it, and they're going to love it too also. Right? They're going to be smiling. Just like we smiling. Our people go to work and smile. Be going to work. Hey, George. Hey. Right? I go to work. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Good morning. Whatever. Hey, you got an attitude or something? I'm here. What are you doing? When I get in my kingdom, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be sitting back, ordering food, getting my coffee. Right? My feet not going to hurt when I get off work. My back not going to hurt. Right? You're gonna, I mean, not going to be in pain no more. Everything's going to be beautiful. If you don't like something, man, I don't like the color of that wall. Where you saw that? Paint that wall. I want it red. And then tomorrow you want it green. That's it. Whatever you want. Right? My captain on the right here, the Tazaka. He start coughing, somebody gonna run and give him water. That's right. They ain't even got to ask for it. Because that's what Esau had it. We were at his begging call every second of the day. He coughed, yes, master. We sick? Right? We sick, like we speak French. Come on. Right? What you got going on? Those days are going to turn, man. Because what's Esau doing to us with all these devices, as you see here, we're reading devices of Satan, devices of the enemy. He's coming against the children of Israel. We're waking up in these last days. And the Most High is going to flip the script right on them. Con? Read on. Let's finish up.
Verse 29.
Okay.
Chapter 9, verse 29. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoyed them. And they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fasting and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. Chapter 10, verse 1. And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed.
Right. Our Lord, yeah. This also reminds me also of the story of Joseph. Remember, Joseph was sold, right? And what happened to him? You know, he stayed faithful with the Most High, and what happened? He became the governor. He was second in command under the Pharaoh, right? That's something else, man. That's you on a high level, right? Talking about Judah being in the neck of the enemy, man. I don't know what is, man. That's far up. So we got to remember that in our time past, you know, we were faithful, we fast, we prayed together as a nation. And that's what we have to do today, to pray that the Most High come redeem us out of this captivity. Con? In the Most High hand, man. It was a good story. Con. Sorry I wasn't able to go through the whole thing, but when you get a chance, you can go home and you can read it for yourself, man. It's a very good story. All right. So at this time, we're going to ask everyone to rise and stand and face Jerusalem. And we're going to send up the prayers to the Most High, blessing this glorious day, Purim, and blessing the food and the drink. Con? All right.